Today we're actually upgrading an old computer to a 3900X. AMD have done a great job with their new Ryzen 3 processors. That's brought a lot of life back into the CPU market, and the prices are pretty good and the performance is excellent, and that's why we're going with this build today. There's actually thunderstorms going on right now, so I hope the mic doesn't pick up any of that noise. This is an upgrade that will only upgrade the motherboard, CPU, GPU, hard drive, and memory. I know I said only, and that's pretty much everything, but you're keeping the power supply and the case and extra hard drive. So, you save a little bit of money with this type of upgrade. AMD have actually been pretty good and have kept the same socket for a few generations. It seems likely, though, that this is the last socket of this Ryzen 3. And looks like they'll be moving to a new socket in the next generation. I could be wrong. That's, what's being reported currently. The RAM we're using today is the G.Skill Trident Z RGB series. It's 3600 megahertz bandwidth, which is really important, and CL16. The timings are actually 16, 19, 19, 39. But what's good about that, because it is CL16, and 3600 megahertz, it's pretty much the sweet spot for AMD memory. You can get something faster, but you start to pay quite a hefty premium just to get a little bit faster timings. So this is probably the sweet spot, especially when you're buying 32 gigs of RAM. This is pretty much where you want to be at. For the hard drive, we're using the Samsung 970 Pro, which is pretty classic hard drive to use, very reliable. The processor, as you'd know from the title, we're using the AMD 3900X. The build is for someone that's going to be doing some light editing and probably is going to use those cores, not just for gaming. So one thing that AMD actually has done really good is the supplied air cooler that comes with the processors are actually pretty good. Not only do they perform pretty decently, but they look really good in the case. You'll see some footage at the end. It looks pretty cool. We weren't able to install the Kraken X72 all-in-one cooler because we didn't have the correct mounting plate, as this was an upgrade and we just didn't get that plate in time. So we had to go with a stock cooler, and in the case, it actually looks pretty good, and the plate hasn't even come in yet, and we're still running that stock cooler, so it's running really, really well. The actual build itself, we had no real issues. A few boot issues, probably due to having all the hard drives plugged in from the old build that was in there, but everything seems to work really well. We put in the 2080 Ti, the Galaxy 2080 Ti, and that works great. Everything seems to be going good in this build. It's been running for a couple of weeks now. This is actually the second 3900X on a Meg ACE motherboard that we've built. We actually think that the Meg ACE motherboard's probably a really good semi-high-end board that just looks awesome as well, and it has that heat pipe so the fan doesn't come on all the time on the chipset. It's a really good board. I have a personal love for those infinity type displays on motherboards, and the NZXT coolers have that same infinity type glass effect, which I think is probably one of the best effects on motherboards right now. That said, that only really comes into effect if you're displaying your computer, if it's got a glass panel or somehow people can actually see it. If no one can see it, it's an absolute wasted feature. Since we are a new channel, we're actually looking for ideas and suggestions of what hardware to review next, to unbox, to open. So if anyone has a suggestion, feel free to send us a message. We'd love to hear from you guys and tell us what you're interested in and what you're interested in seeing. Do you want to see more build videos? Do you want to see more unboxings? So yeah, please feel free to message us because we're here to make you guys happy and make videos that people want to watch. Overall, the build was pretty easy, pretty straightforward, nothing too out of the ordinary. We definitely recommend people upgrading the BIOS, because the BIOS that you'll get from the motherboard manufacturer has probably been updated 3-4 times, as this is a new chipset and new processor line. You'll get pretty frequent updates. In terms of the window install, we recommend that you get the chipset drivers from AMD website and not just rely on your motherboard manufacturer's drivers that you get from their website.